Welcome back to another episode of Killer Combos. Let's get into today's case. We're in Pewaukee, Wisconsin in 2018, and this is where 61-year-old Lynn Hernan lived. Lynn was a beloved hairstylist who owned her own salon. She was kind, warm-hearted, and well-known around town. She never married or had kids, but she loved her life. Her pets, the beach, black and white movies, and cooking for herself. She dated a man named Jim Kelleher for 10 years. Even after they split, they stayed great friends. Jim even remained close with Lynn after finding a new partner. But in 2018, Jim started noticing something strange. Lynn was withdrawing. She had been dealing with serious health issues, blood pressure, lung disease, GI problems, and doctors couldn't figure it out. She began isolating herself more and more. Then on October 3rd, 2018, everything changed. A 911 call came from Lynn's home. The caller, her caregiver, Jesse Kurczewski, said she found Lynn unresponsive in her recliner, with pill bottles scattered and a white powder on a plate nearby. First responders arrived, but Lynn had already passed. Initially, it looked like an overdose or suicide. Jesse, 32 at the time, was basically Lynn's adopted daughter, the biological child of one of Lynn's oldest friends. She'd been helping Lynn daily for the past 2 years. Jesse told police Lynn had talked about suicide due to the unbearable pain. It made sense on the surface, but something felt off, especially to Lynn's friends. Jim said Jesse called him the day Lynn died, casually saying, "She's dead, come to the memorial." No emotion. Even stranger, Jim had never even met Jesse. Despite being Lynn's closest friend, he didn't know she had a caretaker, and he wasn't alone in his suspicions. Lynn's friend, Anthony Posa, said she seemed better the last time he saw her. Out of the hospital, happier. When the medical examiner's report was delayed for months, it raised even more concerns. Then, in early 2019, Jesse walked into the police station asking for an update. It was odd. She was pushing hard for an official ruling. As they interviewed her again, she claimed Lynn was isolating and pushing everyone away except her. But Jim contradicted that. He'd recently called Lynn, and Jesse picked up, told him not to call again, and hung up. Yet Lynn called Jim back from the hospital and made plans to see him. So who was telling the truth? That's when police uncovered the finances. Lynn inherited $250,000 from her mother in 2014. At the time of her death, just $87,000 remained. Where did it go? Into Jesse's bank account. She'd been transferring money, opening credit cards, writing checks to herself, even buying furniture delivered to her own place, all in Lynn's name. A few weeks later, she cashed a fraudulent check for $130,000. From 2016 to 2018, Jesse stole over $144,000. And now police had a real reason to believe Lynn's death wasn't natural. The toxicology report came in. Here's the shocker. None of the crushed pills found around Lynn were in her system. What was? Tetrahydrozoline, the main ingredient in Visine eye drops. It's harmless in the eyes, but lethal when ingested. There were high deadly levels in her system, way more than trace amounts. And Jessie? She knew exactly what it could do. Police found texts from Jessie to her boyfriend months after Lynn's death, claiming she'd been drugged with eye drops at a bar. Was she trying to plant a future defense? In follow-up interviews, Jessie changed her story. First it was, Lynn never drank eye drops. Then she mixed them with vodka. Then she'd been doing it for months to help her sleep. Police didn't buy it. Jesse was arrested in 2019 for fraud, but the murder charge didn't come until 2021. She finally went to trial in October 2023. In court, Jesse claimed innocence. Her defense brought in people who testified that Lynn had a history of depression and physical pain. Some even said they saw her mix Visine with alcohol before, but the prosecution had clear financial motive, forged checks, contradictory statements, and a known pattern from Jesse. She'd been in prison before for identity theft. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, a friend turned in 37 pages of fake evidence Jesse had mailed from jail, including instructions on how to fake a voice recording of Lynn saying she wanted to die by drinking Visine. That sealed the deal. On April 5th, 2024, Jesse Kurczewski was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 40 years, plus 10 more years for fraud, and ordered to pay $386,000 in restitution. If she ever profits from a book or interview, the money goes to a fund in Lynn's name. In the end, Jesse didn't just steal Lynn's money. She stole her peace, her life, and the trust Lynn had placed in her since childhood. That's the case of Lynn Hernan. Sad, frustrating, diabolical, all for a pile of money that wasn't even worth a life. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on this horrible act. We'll be back with another story. Thank you.